Hi. Hi, everyone. It's another Free Friday class, and we did it earlier today. Let's begin Awesome 10X for the global market update. Today's title is called Relief Rally Actionable Ideas, October 8th. So we are seeing stocks go up. Chinese shares have been rising. The headlines are reopening from holidays with a consumer strength. Fears of a volatile start has been dissipated by an upbeat global sentiment. The thing about China is that sentiment always changes. I remember a month ago, we just had a really bad retail sales data, weak growth, and nowadays, just after a week long holiday, consumer staples and tech shares are showing resilience amidst the face of regulatory and economic uncertainty. Chinese index climbed as much as 1.5%. Top performers include even land and even during a tumultuous property movement. What's happening in China is really something that is equivalent to a volatile market. I'd say that there is no direction. And if you have to ask the long term direction of Chinese stocks is still very much in a downtrend. And what you're seeing here is a brief rally that could last for a week or 2 weeks or even a few months. But it is a rally that is a short-term rally. Let's take a look at some specific Chinese charts. So it lifted up a lot of sentiment. You're seeing companies like NetEase, after falling almost 50%, 130 to about 79. We see that bottom, double bottom here to $80. And nowadays, in just 2 days, rising to $100, which is 25%. Let's take a look at some gaming companies like Tencent. We note that this has dropped 45% from its peak, 760 all the way down to about 420. And we're seeing that huge move in the last 2 days from about 440 to 490. Take note, it got rejected quite quickly, which tells us that the market situation is more of a sell on good rallies type of event. Notice the same thing happened here, 420 to 520, a sell and rally ensuing in Chinese shares. What happens in Douyu after that live streaming merger with Huya faded away? From 20, it fell 90% all the way to about $2.95. You're seeing a double bottom here, supported at $2.95. But take note, a resistance here at about 430. Nonetheless, we are seeing strong movements. I would say that though you can still rally tonight, 330 to about 380. But definitely, these higher resistances are really points of selling pressure still. So we are not out of the woods, especially China. Take a look at Huya, 36 all the way to about $8. You're seeing that all these cracking down on a lot of gaming, live streaming, and stopping mergers have really made these issues almost an untouchable, but I'd say it's not uninvestable. And so it becomes like more of a bargain hunting play for people who are playing with these live streaming companies who notes that, well, the revenues are there, cash flows are there. So let's see what's happening here. It's got a huge range, somewhere from 7 to 9 for Huya. There's definitely a lot of resistances as well at 10 and 11. But I wouldn't say that this is over. A 10% rally tonight for Chinese issues is still possible. And that goes along with the entire sector. Let's take a look at Chinese vehicles. NIO is rallying last night from a low of about 32. Take note the 32 has been the support. That was the support around March, around May. Another triple retest here. And then this September, October, how high could the NIO go? Let's see. Vehicles has been doing well. So I say that resistance first at 40 and 45, which really equates to another 10 to 20% potential move in Chinese shares. XPeng, same thing happening. You see that move higher last night, 34 to 38. We see any dips tonight of XPeng to be met with a lot of buyers still. First resistance would be this 40 and 44. So definitely you've got 15% potential rally. So amidst any drops or pullbacks on these Chinese issues, do take a look on these Chinese things. Also thought you should know the world has created an index. It's called FNGU, which is really 10% of the world's MVP. The top 10 holdings is equally weighted with Chinese issues and US tech. So let's take a look at that. 10% Alibaba, 10% Baidu. Well, there's no Tencent here. So actually 20% China and 80% USA. So Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Netflix, Nvidia, Tesla, Twitter. We are seeing that every time a company in the holdings firm is falling down, people are getting diversified movement. Example, recently this month, we saw a huge drop on Facebook, but also a huge return on Netflix. So what's happening within this index is actually more of a consolidation. Take a look at the consolidation. FNGU is a 3 times leveraged derivative of your FANG index. So for the entire year, what you can clearly see here is not an uptrend, but more of a choppy range. From about 24 to 44. Most of the big moves, of course, has been happening because there's leverage here. But recently, this huge move on your Chinese issues has been met simply with this support. Take a look at this, $32 rallying to 35. A rally to 40 could be met with resistance. And so I'd say the Nasdaq and even Chinese shares are actually not in an uptrend, but just in a relief rally mode, wherein rallies and resistances are also going to be met with resistance and sellers. Now, I'd have to also say, well, this is just my commentary. You cannot seriously tell me that Netflix is hitting all-time highs just because of one show, which is Squid Game. Was it really about the move about gaming? Not true as well, because ever since Netflix announced their move to buy mobile gaming studios and entering forcefully in gaming since 2018, the market never took it with much seriousness. So I'd say that Netflix going momentum nowadays is more of the world confessing itself that it's not about one show, but it's about a multiple amount of streams in Korean drama. So this is Squid Game creator who had been rejected for 10 years for his series. He once even had to sell his laptop for $675. The world wants us to see and think that this is a one-hit show. But no, I believe that Netflix movement upwards to all-time highs is really a recognition by the world confessing that Netflix can create multiple blockbusters with very little budget. With Money Heist, with Squid Game with just $10 million, and you'll never know. More Korean dramas. I'm personally a fan of Asian dramas. You've got Kingdom, you've got I loved Alice in Borderland. You know about Battle Royale, Japanese film, Battle Royale 1, 2. You've got Darwin's Game, which is also an Asian drama. So I think every Asian, I don't know, every either it was a pandemic driven thing, but since pandemic, I've also been personally watching more Korean drama, more K-drama, even my family, from the Crash Landing on You all the way to Hometown Cha-Cha nowadays, from Vincenzo and the like, which I think I would not have access to if Netflix didn't show off these K-dramas. So I think it's not about just one show. Remember, Netflix is all about a platform. Hopefully, Trece of the Philippines or Bagman of the Philippines will generate worldwide recognition. And it's just to spark the reality that Netflix is more of a distribution platform of all things creative. And it shows to you that there is no such thing as hype with one, but with the gamut of Asian creators. And whether it's Asian or Latin American or Mexican, it's really an acknowledgement that Netflix is the world's got talent. It's the world's distribution platform for any series that is gonna be a global hit. With that, Netflix released their top 10 rankings. Sarando said there's a show on Netflix that's #1 in the world. It's called Squid Game. It's the biggest non-English language show in the world. This is not the first, not the last. So when House of Cards became a thing, Stranger Things became a thing, this just tells you that creativity is not an American thing. It's any race. Money Heist was not an American thing, and that's global, right? Okay, so another news to share. One thing that's also lifting Chinese people's sentiment is this opinion article. Common prosperity is for property tycoons too. Tycoons like Li Ka-shing. Hong Kong's real estate barons may have seen their political influence diluted, but signs are there that they will still retain their economic privileges. So there was actually a conference call with Carrie Lam, Hong Kong. You could see that it's the stock market reaction that tells the story. Shares of Sun Hung Kai rose as much as 3%, having been down before Lam started speaking. New World climbed as much as 3%. Sun Hongkai, for this one in particular, the speech was more of a goodie bag rather than a slap. The chief executive announced plans to build a mass transit railway station at Hong Kong Science Park, where the company is developing a 1,900-unit residential project. All the biggest Hong Kong real estate groups joined the rally as it extended into Thursday. Henderson Land jumping 9%, the biggest intraday gain in 2 years. Cheung Kong Asset adding as much as 2.6%. Developers, of course, had reason to be fearful prior to this speech, seeing them insufficiently loyal during the 2019 pro-democracy protest. Beijing lost patience with property tycoons this year, diluting their political influence in the body selecting Hong Kong's leader, leaning on them to donate rural land to help solve the housing shortage. Let's take a look at the charts. You see this relief rally happening with Sun Hongkai, knowing that Chinese government is not going to penalize them as much or donating those lands. Cheung Kong Holdings 1 HK is still down. You can see 52 Hong Kong. Henderson Land rallied from 28 to 32. Cheung Kong Asset, there was the brief rally, somewhere from about 40 to 45 or 10%. But acknowledge the fact that all of these Hong Kong developers, I didn't show 17 yet, but basically all of those Chinese shares are in a bearish market, and relief rallies are considered bear market squeezes. Okay, but our relief rallies opportunities, of course, you can make about 20, 30% in a few days. So who doesn't? This is actually last night's movement. Take a look. Yatsen Global, 12% up. Yotao, 12% up. Huya, 11% up. Douyu, 10% up. Billy, 10%. Best is actually up 100% already from its lows of 1. It's now trading at $2. Alibaba's trading at 157. Tencent trading 8% higher at 62. We do note that maybe tonight, if it rallies further, another 5% rally on Alibaba and Tencent could be met with some selling pressure. K-Web rallying 7%. If you'll notice, this movement is exemplary, but I'd have to say that the more alpha-centric, which we will choose, would be Pinduoduo, Futu. Miniso has been doing well, in fairness to that, from about 11 all the way to 16. Futu is trading at 87. My assumption is that with further momentum and better sentiment in Chinese stocks, you'd see another rally. And so this is still an actionable idea. For Chinese stocks in particular, I'll go further to say that this virtual meeting between China's Xi Jinping and Joe Biden is going to be a fight about secular trend winners, with US having Tesla, GM, Ford, and with China supporting Xpeng, Neo, Li Auto. So if you're going to choose some sides here, try to buy somewhere on the Xpeng Neo here about 36 to 38 and Futo at about 87. I'd also go say that Pinduoduo below 95 is also a good run. You can still make money here, as well as Pinduoduo at 75 areas. So there's still going to be money to be made in Chinese stocks. Another thing to just share, some news for you, actionable ideas. Nintendo's Metroid Dread is primed to be a breakout success. As of late, Nintendo has been dropping 30%. There has been competition. You've got Steam's Valve and a lot of entries in the competition for gaming. Now, nonetheless, Nintendo's video game is full of recognizable stars. You've got Mario, Zelda, Pikachu, and now the enigmatic bounty hunter Samus Aran has a chance to join the party and vault the underappreciated Metroid series to success. Metroid Dread, the first proper new entry in the sci-fi series since 2010, not counting a remake and multiplayer spin-off, have been eagerly anticipated and taking place on a planet full of menacing aliens and robots. Many of these fans are hoping this breakout hit leads to more Metroid success. Now, in particular, most people don't want to bet on just one game, but we could see that Nintendo is still on a strong rally. From 2019, this was a continuous trend from Animal Crossing, still the fastest selling Nintendo game in terms of sales. I'd say that this drop on Nintendo should be seen more as an opportunity. Is this a knife? Sure, 50,000 can fall all the way to 45 or 42. But news for you, understand that maybe at 40,000 yen, Nintendo could be a buying opportunity. So just watch out for this video game because a lot of video games are actually selling well and their charts are actually in the mud. A few things, actionable ideas. Morgan Stanley reported just October 7, US advertising fall update. Our bottom up advertising build leads us to nearly double our expectation for US growth for advertising in 2021 from 12% to 23%. This is above consensus for 2022. Overweight, Facebook, Google, Snapchat, Foxa, AMR. This is a very bullish note for Morgan Stanley, seeing that Facebook right now is getting hit by a lot of scandals, in particular the whistleblower about how it affects a lot of teenage suicides. So this is a very contrarian take, if you'll ask me, wherein strong media spending is driving unprecedented advertising growth. If you don't want to be a contrarian, you go own Google. But if you're going to be a contrarian, Facebook dropping about 330 to about 280 could be your take. I prefer not to be a contrarian though, but this is really a very bullish research. Let's read the thing. The power of digital advertising is leading for us to make an unprecedented growth outlook. We see paid media spending growing consistently higher, faster than GDP, well above historical levels. Marketers are absorbing substantial ad rate inflation, higher CPMs. Now, there is actually a lot of beneficiaries with this Morgan Stanley upgrade. And of course, the beneficiaries are Roku, the Trade Desk, Magnite. So Roku is winning the crowd favorite award for the most tweeted. In my view, if you just look at FinTwit, Roku is winning the most crowd favorite amongst the stocks that fell 40-50% from Cathy Wood's ARK. Roku dropped from 480 all the way to 300. I'd surmise that is also the most tweeted bullish reversal. And it should be noted, $300 is a 50% Fibonacci retracement. $300 is also a round number support. Yes, it had those tails at 295, but that move has been it happened with Roku's release of their own research report suggesting the streaming decade. Also happening with an upgrade, a lot of upgrades, target prices as high as 560, almost doubling these current prices. And so we begin to see how big social media FinTwit momentum has to do with Roku's share prices. Fundamentals are intact. You've got industry growth. Let's see where this takes us. First resistance is 360 to 340. Those are the resistances that happened when Amazon came into the picture of fighting Roku's remote TVs. So we'll see. This is a winner on the over-the-top advertising growth. Another winner, of course, is APPS, Digital Turbine. Take note, since August, this has been rallying from about 50 to 75. And with a lot of upgrades, this is an actionable bullish move. So if you are if you're looking for a pullback, pullbacks at 69 will probably be met with more buyers than sellers. So there's temporary resistance here at 80. Watch out for Digital Turbine, either breaking above 80 or getting a pullback at 70 for a more low risk entry. I prefer pullbacks rather than breakouts. The Trade Desk has pulled back already here about $70. It is the largest independent programmatic advertising DSP for digital media buyers in the world. So for instance, you're looking to know how you're gonna advertise on your mobile or web devices. The Trade Desk facilitates the purchase of digital media on various media networks. Users can manage digital advertising campaigns in real time. This to me is a buying entry tonight. At $70, this is giving you an actionable buy idea for October 8th. Magnite, take note, last night it already rose from about 25 area to 28, 2 days rallying. I'd say this could continue further, but resistance at 32. In case Magnite gives an entry 27 to 28 area, some people might actually still take an opportunity on this. Magnite is a smaller company, but of course it is a competition for, if the Trade Desk is on the supply side, Magnite is on the demand side. With Diaz, just showing to you how the sector is moving. It's actually trading already at the lowest in the last year. So that is almost the same as October to December, a full reset from 26 all the way to 6. We'll see whether people are going to jump in here at 6, potentially a move to about 9. So with a 50% upside, despite a huge drop, you might want to take a look on whether Acuity Ads can actually move higher. This is a Canadian name that listed in NASDAQ. So relatively new, not a lot of support from institutional investors yet. Let's read for actionable news. DraftKings announced a $22 billion offer for Entain. On September 21, DraftKings announced the intent to purchase sports betting Entain for $22.5 billion in cash and stock for 2,800 pence per share. So that's a UK-based company. It is a 50% premium to Entain's closing share price. A large part of this deal is a joint venture between Entain and MGM Sports. If it closes, the deal would be the largest acquisition of an online gambling operator, creating a transnational betting giant. I'd have to say that in the generation gamble, a CNBC documentaries made an excellent documentary about this generation, wherein people love instant gratification. People want a $100 bet on a game, NFL game, NHL game, all of these sports reopening things. DraftKings, being one of the most successful SPACs from about $10 to $50, and using that cash hoard to buy up other sports betting leaders in other parts of the world, in this case, UK, is really a fight between FanDuel and DraftKings. And so I'd say this is more like it's a duopoly. If Visa and MasterCard monopolize credit card and it's now getting a lot of competition from a lot of buy now, pay later companies like Affirm, Square, PayPal, what's happening with the sports betting story is really, if you are going to ask me, it's DraftKings, it's Penn National Gaming, it's FanDuel. I think that's the bigger story here. The category story here is with many states accepting sports betting and live betting is not just for the adults, but really hitting millennials, Gen Zs. And well, it's causing a lot of problems too, because it means that kids as young as 14, 15, 16 are getting I'm not quite sure if I'm not sure if they're really 18 years old above. I'm not sure about that. But what we are significantly seeing here is that casual gambling through your online, your mobile phone, is making DraftKings a huge cash flow king. If we're just gonna bet on revenues, category killing moves, I'm gonna have to agree with Kathy Wood owning a lot of DraftKings. It is really the leader. And what Awesome 10X believes upon is that $50 is a tradable buy. 46 to $50, 49 is a tradable buy for DraftKings. After all this movement, since May, the market has been consolidating sideways for DraftKings, initially going as high as 63. Take note, DraftKings has been in a huge cash binge, a lot of acquisitions. They bought SC. I think the competition like Penn National Gaming is also, Barstool Sports has also been acquiring a lot of companies like Score Media Gaming. So what you're seeing here, I think, is a consolidation of the industry. And the consolidation only has room for a few winners. DraftKings is part of that number one, number two spot. So paying a premium for 48, 49 is not a question. So yeah, this is an actionable buy if you want a leader in that sports betting category. Of course, sports betting is not just in traditional sports. You've got esports, but we would not talk about esports, the other small companies, only because with a bearish market sentiment still, the money flow always goes to the large caps first. When DraftKings goes super high, that's I think when the market will flow into the likes of gamble or luck. But the number one that we want to see as DraftKings going up first, that's before the rest. Just to take note about the other SPACs, Matterport has also been a strong momentum since May. Notice that out of all the SPACs, virtual reality, most of the other companies in the virtual reality didn't do well in terms of earnings. Copen, Vuzi, Eman, Himax, Envis didn't do well. Their stocks are in the downtrend. But Matterport defied as an outlier. It was very niche category, virtual reality only for real estate. And sometimes the market likes niche. That's what happened with the initial movement of your DocuSign and Zoom Video, although Zoom Video and DocuSign has since fallen. But I'd say that those are contrarian opportunities. Niche products, like Asana is a niche product that had been momentum as well. So it's just something to share that Matterport has been in an uptrend, a niche product for virtual reality real estate. The market loved it, paid the premium. Just sharing that 18 has been met with support, but resistance at 24. So I'm not buying, but I can see momentum. Momentum players will probably buy on dips for a Matterport. For Chinese issues, Pintuotuo is still in an uptrend. If you've got a C limited for Southeast Asia, not all Chinese stocks are actually meant to be sold. If I'm gonna choose an alpha, sure, it's not gonna be Alibaba. I do like Alibaba, but if given a choice, Pintuotuo is probably a faster, stronger, and less politically driven in terms of regulation. So, because Alibaba might always get framework problems with their Alipay, a lot of regulation frameworks with the fintech. At least with Pintuotuo, all you have to think about is that it just serves a lot of farmers and consumers. And because the business is quite niche, platform for agriculture e-commerce, I'd say that the market is willing to pay a premium. Notice, if you bought this in 2020 around 30 to 45, you're still double your money, here at about $90. Unlike Alibaba, which you are still suffering with a 5-year multi-year low. So I'd say even from a investor base, Pintuotuo has less resistances rather than Alibaba. So Pintuotuo does have a resistance here about 112, but I think that this is more of a trading range opportunity. You've always got buyers buying below 85. If you're gonna buy 95, is it too late? You're in the middle, you're not too late, because we think that eventually, the earnings will come out December, you could sell it again at 110. So I'm not sure if we're gonna break above 110, but we are, okay, I'll be biased and say Pintuotuo is growing. In the last 5 years, their sales went from less than, I think they're trying to hit they've already hit 6 trillion yuan. So for a company that just had the beginning 5 years, that's an amazing growth. So people are paying the premium for this 5 to 6 year old Hectocorn. Hectocorn is a company that reached $100 billion in just 5 years. So far, they've been trading more than 100,000 of China's so-called new farmers. I am a believer of the secular trend in helping farmers. It's kind of like their version of Shopify. You're helping farmers become entrepreneurs with the Pintuotuo. So these farmers get to sell their produce. There are a lot of youth who left the rural villages to work in cities, now returning to the countryside, starting themselves to have a business, creating a lot of jobs. So you're stimulating demand for all the other logistics and packaging. They're pledging to train another 100,000 new farmers to boost sales of farm produce through their online channels. I like Pintuotuo's Tuo Mai Tai. So I really like their marketplace. So China's new breed of farmers are now armed with knowledge of e-commerce. I think this is more of a story about food security, about equipping the poorest of the poor to really go digital, transform themselves. So I don't think China government would fight this trend because the government campaign is common prosperity. And what better story to tell than farmers becoming millionaires with selling chestnuts online. So they're selling chestnuts via Pintuatuo, transforming what was once a local specialty into a delicacy consumers are all over the world can access. So this is a wonderful story, a real company with real results. They've got like cash flows and almost all of their forgive me if I don't know the exact number, but billions of dollars are now being spent in logistics from all their EBITDA. And I agree. As a consumer and as an investor, what all the initiatives of Pintuato, I very much agree. It is a very strong growth stock. While I didn't showcase here Futu, I also would have to say Futu, which is listed in China, is not necessarily a Chinese company. This is just a young 5-year-old company. And it reminds me of Pintuatuo. All these great companies, Sea Limited, Futu, Pintuatuo, they are my biased Asian Amazons, if you want to call them. This is the Asian Robin Hood, Futu. If you can see this chart right here, from about $20 to $200, that 10x is well deserved. And this huge drop to about 86 is for me a premium that's worth paying for, because have you ever seen a company grow from, well, their clients are 500, is it hitting let's just go again. I think it was 500% revenue growth. How many clients do they have? Client base. Futu's client base has grown May 19, 2021. I think they've achieved more than 700% growth year on year, and 350% year over year growth. What's this? How many paying clients now? So we're still in early days for Futu. Futu users are now reaching 14 million. And then they had a number of registered clients reaching 2 million in a quarter. Paying clients are 800,000. You're in the beginning of this wonderful story with Asians, Chinese people investing, well, not just Chinese in mainland, but Singaporeans, Malaysians, Thai, not just investing in their country, but investing in worldwide global companies, whether it be an Amazon, whether it be a Robinhood, a Tesla, a Neo, and so forth. So we're really becoming a global company. And because Futu is Asian, and most Asians love seeing offices in Asia. They had a demographic reach, and you could see the growth. They are very active, and it has been working well. So it is a secular growth story that might not be a relief rally. So that's why I would care to share that if we have this window of opportunity with Chinese sentiment going up, you want to bet on the leaders first. The leader of brokerage firms, which is undoubtedly Futu, the leader of agriculture tech, which is Pintuatuo, while you can buy them at significantly lower levels from a PE growth level, because there's that Chinese discount. So that's something that I would share. Another actionable idea, of course, with Bitcoin hitting $55,000, do not neglect the fact that Bitfarms and hot mining are still one of your stock-related bets that should, in particular, keep on rising. So they are not selling their Bitcoin, they're holding their assets. And with digital assets getting mainstream adoption, right now you've got 200 million wallets as of 2021. It could go as high as a billion wallets in the next 10 years, just like the crypto internet era did in 1997. From less than 200 million, it took about 10 years, I think, until 2010 for internet era to hit a billion, and then 2 billion, then 5 billion. I think we're now 5 billion digital natives. So for crypto natives, you will see a long-term trajectory for Bitfarms. And so you could see this drop from about 7 to 4 has been met with buyers, 4 to 5, and I'd say it goes back to 7. So look at this. Any stock that rallies in a huge trading range, 7 to 3, 3 to 7, 7 to 4, I think it goes to 7. Even if it just goes into a trading range this entire year until next year, this is a dependable trading range. So 4 to 7 or 3 to 7, always play on the long side for bit farms. And if you're going to be on the short side, do a short at 7 areas. Hot mining has actually also done a V shape. You'll notice from 13 to 3, 3 to 11. So obviously, every pullback of hot mining has been met with more buyers, just like what we've seen in overall cryptocurrencies. You can see a lot of surveys. We have like many accounts buying their very first crypto 2020 and 2021, and it's still going further. So you can see that with crypto adoption going mainstream, whether it be for DeFi assets, whether it be for crypto blockchain games, play to earn economy, or NFTs in general, the momentum is upwards. So dips are being bought. Solars, we could see a definitive bias for American solar companies. First Solar has been in an uptrend ever since May. So this is 68 and this is 98. We can clearly see that this is an outlier move versus the likes of other solar companies like Jinko Solar or SunPower or SunPower is not SunPower is residential installation, so it's not comparable. But compare First Solar with Canadian Solar, for instance, which is more a direct competition. We are seeing that American-led solar firms outperforming than Chinese-led solar. So we can also see that with EVs, Tesla outperforming NIO and XPeng. So just showing to you what's happening. Actionable, yes. Any dips of First Solar seems to be bought at $90. So this is more of a fight between America and US and China. I still won't change my view that the market is still not a definitive bottom. I'm gonna share to you a few insights that I've done yesterday. Perspectives are zooming out. Things will still look a little ugly. Stock futures rose because of this debt limit extension. Understand that for a real catalyst for a sustainable rise, number one, you really have to have more positive sentiment from China. We need to make it at least a 1 month to 2 month rally, because if it's gonna fizzle out after 2 weeks or three days, people will just really treat any relief rally from China as just a bear market relief rally. We need to also see a pause on oil and energy price spikes. We've seen drops on oil, but it's still at 77. That shortage could last to 3 months. It could actually derail any rally from the market. And of course, we need to see long-term investors really buying support valuations, whether it's a Morgan Stanley upgrade report for the digital advertising, or it's a specific company-specific upgrade like what we've seen in a Roku. We need to see with valuations in the markets, mostly 50, 80%, some of them 80% from its peak. We need to see that those buy reports, and not just buy reports, we need a really good 1 to 2 week bounce. Is it actionable because we are oversold territory? Yes. So I want to see Futu rise about $100, $110 at the very least. We want to see lithium prices going up. So Ganfeng Lithium fell to about 136 today. I still would say it's on the uptrend. There is a huge shortage. So any dips of lithium would be met with buying pressure in my view. Albemarle, any dips 210 would still be bought. American battery metals, there's a huge shortage. So EVs, I'd still say this is giving a buy reco. Affirm has been doing very well. Dips at 115 would have buyers. So digital payments have been doing well. Square, PayPal, as a world, everyone has adopted that cashless world. Asana still rising. Upstart still rising. Netflix hitting all-time highs. Dips of Netflix will be bought. These are large caps that will have buyers. Same as for Google. Alpine went higher. So no change in view. Roku will have buyers, 320 having a lot of buyers, but resistance at 340 to 360. Coal still spiking, uranium still spiking. Reopening is also a 2022 event. So whether it be Expedia, Airbnb, we are of the view that you have buying opportunities. I also have to share that Funko has been doing well. That is an actionable play. Funko collectibles, whether it be the digital and even the virtual Comic Con Summit just ended, with Loungefly products rising 100% year on year, you see more value here rather than expensive. So cash flows have been rising for Funko, margin expansion, everything that cash flow rich investors want. Funko is an uptick move for me. $18 is more of a buying reco for Awesome 10X. I'll also be contrarian in saying that Zoom video, although it's $250 now, should be bought. Here about 250, we're contrarian buyers here thinking it's going to go back to 300 by next year because of that billions of cash flow that has never really stopped. So a lot of interesting ideas for you guys. I'll take a look at any commentaries and questions. Let's take a look at your questions. Speaking for real estate, are smart cities any good? Like the one being made called New Clark City in Tarlac. Will another NCR happen? I look to buy a property in Pampanga for appreciation value. I'd say the answer for that question is a yes. Worldwide, we are seeing an increase of people going to the countryside, going away from urban city centers. This is not just about Manila, but I'm talking about US as well. They went to these other cities specifically for cheaper taxes, a lot of savings, because around 50 to 70% of knowledge workers are not required to go to the office. Or if they have to go to the office, it's going to be like once or twice a week. So they can save on the commute. And since these people are you call them nomads or digital nomads, it will actually make that less city-centric areas, like I'll tell you about the Philippines example. There are a lot of Pampanga or Cavite that did appreciate versus, of course, Manila or Makati or BGC, simply because, well, skyrocketing prices in Makati. How much is a condo? It's like 200,000, 230,000 per square meter versus buying, let's say, a house and lot in Cavite for less than 30,000 or 20,000 or 10,000 per square meter, 5,000 per square meter. And people would sell it. Why? Because their costs there were 200 pesos, 100 pesos, maybe about 20, 30 years ago. So the answer for that question is a yes. And it's also a yes if you think about it. We are long-term bulls in this entire digital transformation. I have a contrarian view that you can, of course, buy the likes of Twitter. You can buy the likes of Shopify. You can buy the likes of Square. You can buy the likes of Zoom Video, CrowdStrike, Sentinel One. Because I truly believe that the fundamentals are intact for this digital transformation. There's a slew of millions and probably hundreds of millions of workers around the world who are not required because they're knowledge workers or game developers. The fact that Unity bought ParkSet so that developers can create and build their games anywhere they want, remote work, it tells you how bullish I am with Unity as well. So the trend is your friend. The global trend is less in the offices and more at home. Is Intel a buy at current price due to the Alder Lake upcoming release? I'm not really aware, but NVIDIA and AMD gave super strong buy moves last night. So with large caps going up, I'd say that I'm just somebody who's also going to be a consensus. I'll go for NVIDIA and AMD if you want semiconductors. So yeah, that answers the question. What are your thoughts for the likes of NVIDIA and AMDs? That's definitely a buy. We're never really bearish on semiconductors. NVIDIA, AMD, Qualcomm's. Qualcomm is actually just very low now. Qualcomm is trading at about 130 now, 127. I've been bullish actually, and actually wrong that 140 I was still bullish. But the long-term trend on Qualcomm is intact. I'm bullish on 5G. So these are really buying opportunities for those who are bullish 5G. You can take a look at Qualcomm. It's in a triple bottom support here at 125. You can also take a look at Skyworks, guys. Skyworks is giving you an entry support here at $162. And of course, don't forget the likes of AMD and Nvidia. So Nvidia is very much the leader here, 210. AMD also moving well. Oh, sorry, wrong type. AMD. So AMD also rallying last night to 106. A lot of actionable opportunities. Don't waste these next few days or next few weeks. I'm bullish the movement. It hasn't been a lot of setups lately, but with supports going everywhere across the board, whether you like to trade counter trend moves like Chinese stocks that are very oversold, or you just want to go with the flow. What is a go with the flow type of trend? A go with the flow type of play is CrowdStrike or Sentinel One or Palo Alto Networks. Because with remote work, you definitely have to invest a lot with CrowdStrike, and that has been seen with all of that digitalization, whether it be in the banks, e-commerce, everything. So CrowdStrike is really a leader here. Sentinel One, also a leader here. We're very bullish on cybersecurity. Palo Alto Networks, this is bullish. Notice during the Facebook outages, Cloudflare went all-time highs. So these are crucial digital infrastructure. Cloud computing is very strong. That's why I would argue that for the people who are not afraid of Chinese stocks, VNet is the partner of Microsoft Azure. And this is actually more of a cloud computing data software play rather than simply being Chinese. So this could actually rally 17 to 22. Kingsoft Cloud is a cloud computing play similar to your Microsofts or your Tencent Cloud or Google Cloud. So if you're not afraid of China, this one is actually more of a support area for KC, Kingsoft Cloud. The trends are intact, if you're going to ask me fundamentally. Another thing to share is I'm really bullish on yeah, so you've seen people become very bullish on the metaverse. Notice that okay, with metaverse, it cannot just exist without live streaming participants, right? So Agora, please don't forget about this. Agora 25 is actually a live streaming play that is also a beneficiary of metaverse. So this could be a trading range 25 to 35. It's sad to note that most of the Chinese companies are just falling. Yes, I'd have to agree that 35 used to be a support. Now it has become resistance. We used to buy 35 because that used to be a 1, 2, 3, 4. That was a 5-year support that became a resistance. But I still haven't given up on Agora. I think that one day, this 25 to 35 buyers will get their vindication to go up as high as 50, 60 bucks. So a lot of value in China, but understandably, being Chinese is a sin today. You've got people shying away, so it's okay. The names that are trend following are Albemarle. Take a look at these names: Albemarle, 1211. These are names that I believe new energy vehicles are the trend, secular friend. So yeah, you can consider these. Let me take a look at questions. In particular, U.S. stocks with this 2-month extension, it is a good relief for the equities. Yes, that was the debt ceiling drama. A move of Biden continuing their meeting will have some positive effect. Yes, that is our core short-term view. Our short-term view is we have a relief rally. It might bode well because November and December are also traditionally very good months. So October is not a good month, but we are already seeing that any drop is getting a lot of buys. So even the most downtrodden stock, such as Alibaba, rose 7-8%. It lifts up the sentiment, if any, for that matter. So The bulls on October might get rewarded by November and December, which we have a 2 month bear market relief rally. Can you make about 30% in here? About 15 to 20%? Sure. So I'm bullish on this move. I'm bullish on this move, and I don't think you want to waste it. So you could do a contrarian take on some Chinese issues. In so our picks are Futu Pintuato, Agoras one if you want. Neo Xpeng never really changed my view there. Even Lee Auto, I think Lee Auto has also done well. But if you want secure, just go for the likes of C Limited, likes of e-commerce is still okay. C Limited would be a top pick, and cybersecurity firms. So those are consensus favorites that never really. Semiconductors are also consensus favorites, by the way. Charlie Munger added 83% more. He bought 148. He doubled down. I think Charlie Munger's cost would be somewhere around, because he's been investing for the last 5 years, he's still down. Charlie Munger is down for the last 5 to 6 years on Alibaba because he's been investing here for a very long time. You'll notice that Alibaba's chart is actually in a trading range, 140 to 170. And that price of 140 has been the same price of 2017. So it's an opportunity for long-term investors, but I also believe that definite sellers at 165 above. So be quick to sell Chinese shares because it's not a reversal. I'm not seeing a reversal in Chinese stocks just yet. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed Awesome 10X. See you again next week. Thanks. Bye. Have a good evening and good weekend. Good afternoon.